true growth is slower. So this is a quick kind of segment that I wanted to talk about because it's an obvious point that's always overlooked. So in a lot of situations, fake growth can be made really quickly. So if you drink, you can be very good at socializing very quickly. If you take steroids, you can make gains in the gym, maybe some favorable mental changes as well very quickly. And so there is always this kind of lingering question in our line of work. Why don't we just do these things? Why don't I do these things, right? Because they lead to quick growth. They don't require hours of time to be invested like you need with going to the gym or meditating or all of these things. And so that led me to the title of this video, which is that true growth is slower. And the problem with these kind of fake, quick fix alternatives is that, when you take away the stimulus, you lose everything immediately, right? And the problem is that there's always nasty side effects with these things which are not really foreseeable. When you start doing this thing, you don't really think about the long-term side effects and the harms done to you. But, over time, these things build up, and that's where our kind of work shines through. If I drank for 10 years or 20 years, I might see some rather negative long-term impacts that build up over time, even if for the maybe first couple of years there's no obvious negative impact of doing something. But imagine, with, say, doing mind control 1 hour a day for 10 years, I might have a completely different life at the end of that 10 years, even if maybe for the first couple of years there's no obvious benefit to what I'm doing. And so I realized you really have to think long term with this type of thing. And the other issue is that it's not just your life, it's bigger than your life. You need to think about the things you do as having longer term consequences than just your own life. You need to think about societal consequences, consequences to your kids, future generations, right? Other people who will live after you. They will reap what you sow, right? And so it's not simply just a matter of whether you get to enjoy your life or spend your time grinding or maybe suffering some consequence, because you might think, I'm happy to live, happy and short. But this, first of all, it's not going to be happy. It never is with these things. It's never truly happy. And second of all, there's always consequences, and that's something you should remember. Your actions, they always have consequences, even if you don't really see how one thing that you're doing could have any consequence. And obviously, the examples for true growth: learning to talk without drinking, exercise, the gym, consistent ways to improve your mental health, your lifestyle, dietary changes. These will stack up over time and lead to a better life. And so maybe, I guess, when you're younger, you're more willing, and I'm more willing to make that trade because I have more expected life expectancy ahead of me, right? So maybe to an older person, these trade-offs aren't really worth it. And so that's, a question for you to answer, whether you personally think that something could benefit you. And, especially with something like mind control, I've talked about how just a couple months have led to massive changes. And so, if something gives you results that quickly, unless you had a couple months left to live, I think it would always be worth the time invested and the effort invested into this.